They declared open war on Earth, yet they never imagined that the humans had spent centuries in the shadows, building an armada so vast it could snuff out entire fleets in a heartbeat. Now, as alien battlecruisers breach the solar system's borders, humanity prepares to remind the galaxy what we really are. The year was 2473, more than 800 years after the Eldari Alliance had completely erased all military records of Earth. Within the boundaries of the solar system, Earth, New Geneva; the Moon, Luna Base; Phobos, Mars, Leonov Station; Saturn, Plasma Network; and Neptune, where the Gravemind fleet hid beneath the ice. Humanity had been transformed. Or so the galaxy believed. The Eldari Alliance and their allied species, Rathari, Altari, Sulvar, Vogar, Kolol, Skriari, and others, still believed humans had gone extinct after the great historical erasure in the 17th century of the Alliance era. All records of war, scholars, and military documents from Earth had long been reduced to legends or simulated studies. On Earth, 7 generations after the great historical erasure, humans still existed, but had been forced to become a peaceful, limited society, forbidden from developing heavy weapons. Traditional military forces had been eliminated, and major cities, New Geneva, Solis City, Nova Shanghai, had become centers for research, civilian technology, and resource management. General Adrian Archer, 60 years old with a face weathered by space and a cold expression, served as the supreme commander of Earth's military and directly supervised the historical restoration project. He was a descendant of the Human Historical Corps, those who secretly preserved war records in analog mechanical form. Behind the scenes, a secret group of Xenodal, worked alongside humans to prepare countermeasures, led by Errol, a Xenodal operative who had covertly protected Earth for over 300 years. Errol had served under the alias Jacob Croft, a close friend of Professor Daniel Croft, the man who revealed the remaining history. The Great Historical Erasure, 842 Alliance era, began when the Rathari proposed eliminating all evidence of human warfare. War documents were gradually transformed into simulated weapons research. Xenodal were recruited as attendants, disguised as scholars, engineers, and soldiers to gather information. Errol, alias Jacob Croft, and several other Xenodal served as long-term spies. But some had overthrown their orders, sympathizing with humans. The result, after 800 years, generations of Eldari, Sulvar, Altari, and others believed Earth had been eliminated, leaving only relics and legends of a violent species. In the Triad Hall of the Eldari, 3 main judges, Chancellor Varel, Judge Lord Timra, and Vaishal, floated against a cold blue backdrop, facing countless delegates from other species, Altari, Sulvar, Vogar, Kolol, Skriari, etc. 3D screens displayed the solar system. Earth, Terra, appeared as a blacked-out lump. Luna and Phobos appeared as rusty stations. And Mars, Leonov, was labeled liquidated, all symbols of a supposedly extinct species. Chancellor Varel announced, "Humans are a Terra entity type the 3, unstable, culturally backward, a threat to galactic peace. From today, 24/7/3/03/12, all military activity on Terra will be invalidated, all orbital command stations dismantled, and Terra will transition to transitional management." In the room, the Altari smirked. "Let them keep their wooden sticks as souvenirs." The Sulvar tilted its head, hissing softly. "Just setting up a trophy museum for them." 3 surrounding species nodded, silently congratulating the extinction of humanity. At New Geneva's underground strategic room, General Archer sat facing a floating screen, his hand clenched into a fist, his gaze unwavering. Young officers, Lieutenant Keller, Colonel Trent, Major Edos, sat motionless. No one stirring. News that Earth's military was being disbanded, echoed throughout the system, spreading from Earth, Luna, Mars, to mining bases beyond Saturn. Civilians at commercial stations watched television, many stunned, children crying while clutching blankets. Archer raised a finger to signal Lieutenant Carson. "Transmit." A black screen appeared, without sound, displaying a series of ancient war footage, black and white. 1. Winter, Special Forces ambushing a continental base. Arctic capital, 1856 Alliance era. 2. Orbital attack from a Venus satellite destroying an Alliance cruiser, 2021 Alliance era. 3. Desert campaign at Epsilon Desert, tanks, heavy drones, thermal reaction armor, simultaneously defeating an enemy base in 35 seconds. 4. Europa winter, a soldier dragging an injured commander out of a collapsed ice bridge. 5. Arctic combat team attacking a walker, heavy walking machine, establishing an encirclement, overwhelming victory. Finally, the image of General Archer, a gaunt veteran in a faded military uniform, face weathered by the history of war, expressionless, looking straight into the camera, coldly saying, "You erased our history. Now watch carefully. We never disappeared." Black screen. The applause from the Alliance Hall stopped abruptly. Many delegates were shocked, some exclaiming, "What is this?" Chancellor Varel remained silent for a few seconds, then struck the ethereal light shell. "Damn. They're not just dead. They've been lying in wait for us all along." Sorak, Rathari General, representing the Elodari side, enraged. "We need to mobilize 3 fleets, Vogar Vanguard, Kolol Shock, Skriari Interdict. They will return to the Terra star system immediately. Crush that hidden organization." Harath Vor, Kulsul General, next to Vogar, lowered his glasses. "Once we failed to act decisively, but this time we'll ensure they don't repeat history." At New Geneva's Strategic Room, Archer commanded the opening of the Historical Restoration Network, a collection of all analog materials secretly stored by the Human Historical Core. Optical mechanical discs, radiation maps, computer mechanisms from the Moon War, Mars War, etc. Errol, Z-Nodal, revealed his true form, semi-transparent, green-tinted skin, standing beside Archer and Colonel Trent. He placed tactical data extracted from the Alliance in Archer's hand. Colonel Trent used a stylus to draw a globe diagram, identifying orbital communication nodes, gravity nodes, camouflage plasma zones, and the HARPA drone system, hidden technology from previous generations. Secret combat groups at 1. Luna Base, Moon Satellite. Major Eidos's engineering team activated the analog tunnel pathway, connecting with Phobos. 2. Phobos, Delta 2 Station. The reconnaissance team consisting of Lieutenant Mauro Vasquez, Corporal Dawn, Engineer Rajit Patel, and Errol was responsible for analog relay and network restoration. 3. Mars Control Center, Leonov. A hidden exploration team, Embassy of Underground Engineers, awaited orders, ready to activate the infrared signal relay to alert about the battle. 7 days before the Alliance fleet entered the system, D7. Intelligence gathered. Vogar Vanguard, 150 ships, would advance from the Centauri galaxy through the Oort region to enter the ecliptic plane. Kolul Shock, 200 ships, and Skriari Interdict, 100 ships, would wrap around the Orion Belt, breaking through the northern defense line. Archer issued Secret Order. O. Activate hidden defenses. Prepare ramjet mines on the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and transfer all weapon control systems to mechanical mode that couldn't be hacked. 3 days before, D3. Phobos, the first Zenodal drone, carrying artificial condensation to disable radar, passed through the monitoring reception station, activating half of the analog system. Luna Base. Volunteers transferred analog transmission equipment, ancient electromagnetic radio waves, ensuring interrupted signals couldn't be intercepted. Leonov, Mars. Underground exploration ships placed choke points, magneto-trap systems, around the station's orbit, ready to release ram warheads at enemy ships as they entered. One day before D1, Archer convened the final meeting with commanders from Moonfleet, Mars Underground, and Pacific Ridge forces. He declared, "Tomorrow, we remain silent. They will confidently enter, like lions into a trap." Errol handed over the Spacecraft Control Program Destruction Virus mechanism to Engineer Patel to implant into the Alliance's orbital monitoring system, preparing for the counter-cyber phase. At 06 New Geneva time on D-Day, screens throughout the solar system, the Eladari Alliance released a strategic teaser on all broadcast channels. "Today, we eradicate the final plague of human warfare. My ships are heading straight into the solar system's orbit. Prepare for landing." Delegates from various species, Altari, Solvar, Vogur, etc., applauded enthusiastically, confident they had completely taken control. The Vogur Vanguard crossed the Kuiper Belt, activating stealth cloaking. The Kullal Shock formed an encirclement formation around Jupiter's corridor, ready to link with the Saturn core plasma towers. The Skriari Interdict, black ghost ships, released single-point microleap pods to scout the Moon's orbit. When Alliance ships entered the standby zone, 0.5 AU from Mars, the Saturn Plasma Curtain System, plasma towers disguised as weather stations, automatically opened, firing continuously at the Vogur Vanguard formation. Numerous Vanguard ships smoked, shattering into plasma flower patterns, destroying 5 of the 12 lead ships, the plasma flower section. Kullal Shock launched choking salvos, dropping advanced kinetic harpoons, nuclear-powered anchoring harpoons, toward the asteroid belt. Chain reaction. The asteroid belt self-detonated in sequence, turning half of the Kullal formation into flying fragments. 130 ships destroyed in just seconds. Skriari Interdict tried to avoid radar using cloaking, but analog beacons from Mars and Phobos had interfered with digital radar signals. They suddenly lost direction, self-destructing when trying to adjust frequencies. The Alliance was startled. Sorak stepped back, eyes panicked. "No force has ever accomplished this." Rojatan, Vogar commander, shouted, "Retreat! Retreat immediately!" Harath Vor, Kulsul, remained silent, scanning data. "This isn't just defense. This is a battle of wits. With history we don't know." On Earth's side, Archer remained silent, only looking at the grand map. The analog pipeline is absorbing all digital radar. They've lost all signals. Mauro Vasquez reported from Phobos. 3 drone stations near Saturn have started. Analog signals have spread to Saturn. Their orbital communication system has collapsed. Errol, in his true Xenodal form, quietly muttered, "They believed we had perished, but in reality, we still exist." One day after the Alliance fleet disintegrated, D+1, Engineer Rajat Patel activated the Warlock virus, malware, implanted in Alliance satellites. Alarms at Leonov, Mars, continuously warned. Flight guidance, autopilot spheres, combat command systems were fragmenting. At Phobos, frontline analog, Vasquez and the team had 7 minutes to copy basic data sets to the analog network. An ancient, long signal reaching Luna, Mars, and as far as Saturn, now. The entire Alliance digital network was disrupted, stuck with blue screens and desperate distress calls. Earth, infiltration, war room. Colonel Trent and Lieutenant Saw circled the orbital command nodes, being remotely seized. Sectors 6, 7, 8. They've completely lost communication. Major Edos appeared with the first warning. Leonov Station slipped out of orbit, falling into a self-detonating gas crater. 112 people died instantly. Engineer Patel struggled with himself when forced to sacrifice civilian infrastructure, serving billions of people in exchange for military advantage. He wondered, is the price worth it? Errol, Xenodal, bowed his head silently, when ordering spy drones using virus technology to slaughter, because he had long considered Earth home. Now he was killing his former kind with his own hands. Introducing Phobos Station Delta 2. Wind whistled through zero-gravity corridors. Red lights flickering. Lieutenant Mauro Vasquez led 2 Marines, Corporal Dawn, Specialist Huo, Systems Engineer Rajit Patel, and Errol, trying to navigate through compartments overrun by drill drones, assassin drones. Skeletal frame drones like spiders, fitted with infrared sensors, descended from the ceiling, attacking recklessly. Vasquez fired twice. The first shot missed. The second exploded a sensor, causing the drone to tumble. Errol transformed a portion of his body, driving a upper-level Keaton fragment into the drone's core. The drone exploded, but fired an electric beam that made Errol tear up, temporarily contaminated by the wave. Patel had just finished welding the analog vibrator, so that ancient signals could continue to be transmitted, but was hit by metal fragments from a drone, collapsing next to the switch. Patel touched the switch with trembling hands. The analog circuit vibrated. Signals spread to Mars, Saturn, and Luna. Drones outside randomly shut down, some returning to self-destruct. Signal: sabotage successful. We have 8 minutes before digital line collapses completely. At the Urania Command Station, Alliance Upper Echelon. The map displayed a cluster of lost nodes. Sector 6 lost, Sector 7 lost, Sector 8 dim. Rojatin issued an order to check basic software, firmware integrity check, but the feedback signals were chaotic. Sorak nodded. They want internal warfare? Let them defeat themselves. At New Geneva's war room, the map displayed a series of extremely large black dots, gradually appearing 12 AU from Neptune. No heat source, no radiation, just abnormal weight patches. Lieutenant Saw trembled. Sir, over Neptune's edge, something is moving. Each black mark spaced 0.5 AU apart. Unchanging direction. No EM rays. Could be thousands of ships. Colonel Trent stared at the screen. It's larger than anything we've seen. It can't be conventional mechanical ships. Archer, with a slight smile. These aren't ordinary ships. They were hidden under Neptune's ice layer. That's Gravemind. From the perspective of a Titan vessel of the Alliance, a Skriari interdictor, the radar screen was silent, Neptune's ice sheets glistening. Suddenly, a black mass violently ruptured. Thousands of metallic bodies changing color. 10,000 massive cloaked warships. The Skriari commander shouted, They're everywhere. They've been sitting there, dormant, waiting for us to step in. Gravemind simultaneously activated gravity translocator arrays, immediately stabilizing an artificial gravity well surrounding the Eladari fleet. All attempts at space warping by Eladari ships failed. Fold cores malfunctioned, reporting gravlock, cannot achieve separation. Ships floated motionless like fish on an ice rink. Archer, via comm. Hold positions, don't fire. Let them see the full scale. 10,000 human ships in hiding, only activating low-range radar, not firing, formed a perfect circle. The Eladari Alliance, Vogar, Kolol, Skriari, none could move, escape, or communicate. They could only look around in terror. Sorak trembled. We request terms of surrender. On the Leviathan, human flagship, Colonel Trent frowned at Archer. You want them to surrender? Archer nodded slightly. They need to remember, they were wrong. Alliance response. Eladari ships released white flags. Screens displayed numerous deactivation codes. Chancellor Varel appeared on the Galactic All channel with a humiliated expression, saying, Humans, we have underestimated you. Archer and Errol appeared side by side on screens across the galaxy, shaking hands. The broadcast scene fragmented. All transmissions stopped, replaced by images of reconstruction. Major Caesar Brenner, Leviathan, and Errol, standing amidst the ruins of Leonov Station, Mars, placed their hands on a fragment of the relay tower structure, as a symbol of alliance. Engineers and soldiers cleaned up Leonov Station, Luna, Phobos, restored antenna columns, plasma pipes, infrastructure systems. Xenodal, now revealed in their true form, worked openly alongside Earth people to rebuild the communication network. Varnari archivists recorded the Elodari surrender event of 24/73/04/20. The Solvar canceled Terra Exclusion Zone conferences. Altari 3 issued orders on reassessing perspectives on humanity. On the Citadel training ground, New Geneva, 2 children, an Earth girl and a half-Xenodal child, ran and played among the ruins, no longer watched with suspicious glances. An old technician recalculated the relay system, looking at the fractured eye symbol carved beside the old intrinsic logo, indicating spied memory had now become allied memory. Archer's voiceover echoed, "We were once presumed dead. We chose silence, not out of weakness, but to wait for the right moment. Now you have seen us, and know who we are." "Are we really accepting their surrender?" Colonel Trent asked. Eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display showing the Elodari fleet, immobilized in the gravity well. The white surrender signals blinked across the command center screens, casting an eerie light across the faces of Earth's military leadership. General Archer stood with his hands clasped behind his back, the weathered lines of his face deepening as he contemplated the question. 8 centuries of waiting, planning, and building in secret had led to this moment. He turned to face his officers, his voice steady and firm. "This was never about extermination, Colonel. It was about recognition." Lieutenant Saw shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, with respect, after what they did to us, the historical erasure, the forced pacification, the centuries of believing us extinct, they tried to erase us," Archer interrupted, "but they failed. Now they know. That knowledge is punishment enough." Across the room, Errol's semi-transparent form shimmered slightly as he approached. "The Elodari Council is requesting direct communication. General, Chancellor Varel wishes to speak with you personally." Archer nodded once. "Put it through." The central holographic display flickered, then stabilized to reveal Chancellor Varel's elongated face. The Elodari's usual composure had vanished, replaced by a mixture of fear and grudging respect. "General Archer," Varel began, voice carrying across thousands of kilometers of space, "the Alliance recognizes your impressive display of force. We propose immediate cessation of hostilities and withdrawal of all military vessels from the Sol system." "Withdrawal?" Archer's voice remained level. "Your ships are currently incapable of movement. Chancellor, you are not in a position to propose terms." Varel's facial ridges pulsed with agitation. "What do you want from us, human?" "Truth," Archer replied simply. "The complete restoration of human history in all galactic archives, the immediate dissolution of all restrictions on Earth's development, and formal recognition of our sovereignty across the solar system, from Mercury to the Oort cloud." The Chancellor's eyes widened. "And in return?" "In return, you get to leave." Archer's lips twitched in what might have been a smile. "Most of you, anyway." Lieutenant Mauro Vasquez stood at the observation port on Phobos, watching as the last of the Alliance ships limped away from Mars orbit. Beside him, engineer Rajit Patel worked on a terminal, fingers dancing across holographic interfaces as he monitored the remaining analog systems. "Hard to believe it's over," Vasquez said quietly. Patel looked up, the shadows under his eyes, testament to days without sleep. "Is it? We've revealed ourselves now. The whole galaxy knows we've been building weapons in secret for centuries." "They know we can defend ourselves," Vasquez corrected. "That's different." Corporal Dawn approached, her combat armor still showing scorch marks from their battle with the drones. "Command says we're being recalled to Luna Base. They're setting up a permanent security station there, now that we're officially back in galactic politics." Vasquez nodded. "What about you, Patel? Going back to Earth?" The engineer shook his head, gaze returning to his work. Not yet. The analog network needs maintenance if we're going to keep it operational alongside the new digital systems. Besides, he hesitated. I'm not sure I'm ready to face everyone back home. Not after what we did. We protected Earth, Vasquez said firmly. We killed 112 people on Leonov Station, Patel countered. Civilians. Our own people. An uncomfortable silence fell between them. Finally, Don spoke. War requires sacrifice. Those people died so billions could live free. Remember what the Eldari wanted? To strip us of everything that makes us human. To manage us like animals in a zoo. Patel's hands stilled over his terminal. I know. It's just hard, Vasquez finished for him. It's supposed to be. The moment it becomes easy is the moment we become what they always claimed we were. On Luna Base, Major Edos supervised the integration of new communication systems with the old analog infrastructure. Teams of engineers, both human and the newly revealed Zenodal, worked side by side, rebuilding what had been hidden for centuries. The gravitational anchors are fully operational, reported a young lieutenant. We've got clear channels to Mars, Jupiter's moons, and the Saturn outposts. Eidos nodded approvingly. And Neptune. The Gravemind fleet is surfacing. Sir, General Archer ordered full disclosure. Every ship, every weapon. He wants the galaxy to see exactly what we built while they thought we were defeated. Behind them, Colonel Trent arrived through the airlock, removing his helmet with a pressurized hiss. Major Edos, we've got delegations incoming from 7 systems. Apparently, news travels fast when you humiliate the Eldari Alliance. Eidos raised an eyebrow. Friendly delegations? Curious ones, Trent replied. Plenty of species that never much liked the Eldari hegemony. They want to see the humans who brought the mighty alliance to its knees without firing a shot. We were prepared to fire plenty, Eidos reminded him. The Vanguard and Shock fleets didn't exactly destroy themselves. Trent's expression darkened. True enough. But the big victory was Gravemind. 800 years of secret construction, hidden under Neptune's ice. Even I didn't know the full extent until I saw those ships emerge. Few did, said Eidos. Compartmentalization was essential. If the Eldari had discovered even a hint. But they didn't, Trent concluded. And now the galaxy is about to change. In New Geneva, the restoration began in earnest. Buildings that had for centuries concealed their true purpose were being transformed. What had appeared to be simple research facilities now revealed massive weapon fabrication centers. Civilian transport hubs unveiled military command posts that had operated in plain sight, hidden by sophisticated camouflage and misdirection. General Archer stood in his office, looking out over the city as it shed its disguise. Errol stood beside him, his form rippling slightly in the sunlight streaming through the windows. Your people have accepted their role in this deception remarkably well, Archer observed. Errol nodded. Those of us who chose Earth did so, knowing the consequences. The Xenodal Council has disavowed us. Of course. Will they retaliate? No, Errol said confidently. They're observers by nature. They'll watch how this plays out, document it, analyze it. Violence isn't their way. Archer turned to face the Zenodal. And you? After all these years living as Jacob Croft, what happens to Errol now? A flicker of emotion crossed Errol's translucent features. I've lived among humans for 3 centuries. General, I watched Daniel Croft die holding my hand, believing me to be as human as he was. Earth is my home now. And the other Zenodal who sided with us? The same. We chose Earth long ago. That hasn't changed just because the secret is out. Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant Carson, who entered with a datapad in hand. Sir, we've received the formal acknowledgement from the Eldari High Council. They've ratified all our demands. Archer took the pad, scanning the document briefly. The historical restoration? Already begun, sir. Alliance archivists are working with our historical core to reintegrate the full human record into galactic databases. And military restrictions completely lifted. We're officially recognized as a sovereign power, with full autonomy over our system and defensive capabilities. Archer handed the pad back. Good. Arrange a system-wide broadcast. It's time to address our people directly. All of them. From Mercury to the Kuiper Belt. They've lived in shadows long enough. After Carson departed, Archer returned his gaze to the city below. 800 years of deception. Errol. Some will say we played the long game brilliantly. Others will question whether the price was too high. And what will you say, General? Archer's weathered face remained impassive, but his voice carried the weight of centuries. I'll say we did what was necessary. We remembered who we were when the galaxy tried to make us forget. And now, we'll never have to hide again. On the fringes of the solar system, the last of the Alliance warships prepared for their jump to hyperspace. Aboard the Elodari command vessel, Sorak stood with Harath Vor, watching the displays as Neptune grew smaller behind them. How could we have been so wrong? Harath Vor asked quietly. All our intelligence? All our surveillance? How could they have built something like Gravemind without detection? Sorak's expression was grim. We underestimated them. We always have. We saw what we wanted to see. A broken species, stripped of its history, docile and manageable. They were never docile, Harath Vor murmured. They were waiting. The Council won't survive this humiliation, Sorak said, changing the subject. Chancellor Varel is already facing calls for resignation.
And you?
Sorak turned away from the viewport. I'll testify to our failure. Someone must account for this catastrophic miscalculation. It wasn't just miscalculation, Harath Vor insisted. It was arrogance. We believed our technology made us invulnerable. We never considered they might preserve knowledge in ways we couldn't detect. Analog systems, Sorak said bitterly. Mechanical devices that our digital scanners couldn't recognize. Primitive technology that proved superior, precisely because of its limitations. The ship's commander approached, bowing slightly. Generals, we're ready for the jump. All surviving vessels are in formation. How many did we lose? Harath Vor asked. 283 ships, sir. Nearly half our combined fleet. Sorak closed his eyes briefly. And we never fired a single effective shot in return. As the Alliance fleet disappeared into the darkness of interstellar space, the Neptune ice sheets continued to break apart as more of humanity's hidden armada emerged. 10,000 ships, the largest single military force the galaxy had ever witnessed, took up defensive positions throughout the solar system. On Earth, in cities across the planet, people gathered in plazas and meeting halls as General Archer's broadcast began. His image appeared on screens everywhere, from the smallest personal devices to massive public displays. Citizens of Earth and the solar colonies, he began. Today marks the end of our long silence. For 8 centuries, we have lived under the shadow of the great historical erasure, an attempt by the Elodari Alliance to strip us of our identity, our history, and our right to self-determination. Across the system, humans paused in their work to listen. In the mines of Mercury, the cloud cities of Venus, the underground habitats of Mars, the ice fields of Europa, the gas harvesting platforms of Jupiter, the research stations of Saturn's rings, the methane processors of Uranus, the hidden shipyards of Neptune, and the distant outposts of the Kuiper Belt, humanity united in a single moment of revelation. We survived not by confrontation, but by patience, not by open defiance, but by quiet preparation. While the Alliance believed us subdued and powerless, we built, we remembered, we preserved the knowledge they tried to erase. And when they finally moved to complete our subjugation, we revealed the truth they had denied for so long. Humanity will not be erased. In the streets of New Geneva, people cheered. Families who had kept secrets for generations embraced openly. Children who had been raised with whispered histories now heard their heritage proclaimed without fear. The Elodari Alliance has formally recognized our sovereignty and lifted all restrictions on our development. The historical record is being restored. Our place in the galaxy is acknowledged, not as subjects, not as primitives to be managed, but as equals. Archer's voice grew solemn. This victory came at a cost. We honor those who sacrificed during these centuries of silence. We remember those who maintained our secret resistance across generations, and we especially commemorate those who gave their lives in recent days. When our hand was finally forced, a moment of silence fell across the solar system. Now we look forward. Humanity emerges not seeking revenge, not desiring conquest, but demanding respect. We have demonstrated our resilience and our resolve. Let that be enough. As the broadcast ended, celebrations erupted throughout human settlements. 8 centuries of tension released in a catharsis of joy, relief, and pride. In the Neptune shipyards, Admiral Helena Chen supervised the final emergence of the Gravemind fleet. Massive vessels, some nearly 20 kilometers in length, broke through the last layers of ice into open space. Their hulls, designed to absorb rather than reflect light, appeared as voids against the stars, black silhouettes rimmed by the faint blue glow of their gravity engines. "Status report," she requested, standing on the bridge of the flagship Leviathan. "All ships operational. Admiral, fleet cohesion at 98%. The last of the ice-locked vessels will be free within 6 hours." Helena nodded, satisfaction evident in her posture, if not her expression. "And the Alliance observers?" "Departed the system, ma'am. Their last transmissions indicated significant concern about the size of our force." "Good," she said simply. "Let them worry. Let them wonder what else we might have hidden." On Mars, the reconstruction of Leonov Station had begun. The explosion that had claimed 112 lives had left a gaping wound in the orbital facility, but already scaffolding surrounded the damage as repair crews worked tirelessly. Lieutenant Mauro Vasquez supervised a team setting up a memorial near the main airlock, a simple plaque listing the names of those lost, with the inscription, "They fell, so others might stand free." Engineer Rajit Patel approached, his face haggard but determined. "The analog relay is stable," he reported. "We're integrating it with the new communications grid. No reason to abandon proven technology." Vasquez nodded. "You look like you could use some rest, Rajit." Patel managed a small smile. "Later. There's still work to do." He hesitated, then added, "I've been thinking about what you said, about sacrifice. And you were right. I can honor their memory by ensuring their sacrifice wasn't wasted, by building something better from the ashes." Vasquez clasped the engineer's shoulder briefly. "That's all any of us can do." A week after the confrontation, representatives from 26 species arrived in the solar system. Some came out of diplomatic necessity, others from genuine curiosity, and a few undoubtedly to assess the military threat that humanity now posed. General Archer, along with a carefully selected delegation, greeted them at the newly commissioned Harmony Station in Earth orbit. The massive diplomatic facility, previously disguised as a civilian research platform, now served as humanity's formal interface with galactic society. "Welcome to the solar system," Archer said, addressing the assembled dignitaries. "We apologize for the deception that preceded this meeting, but I think you'll understand why it was necessary." An Altari representative stepped forward, towering over the human delegation. "The Elodari claimed your species was incapable of advanced organization. They said your inherent aggression made you unsuitable for galactic society." "They were wrong," Archer replied simply. "As we have demonstrated." "Indeed," the Altari conceded. "Most impressively wrong. The Gravemind fleet alone represents a technological achievement that many believed impossible without detection." Errol, standing beside Archer, spoke up. The Alliance relied too heavily on digital surveillance. They forgot the power of analog technology, mechanical ingenuity, and human determination. A Solvar delegate hissed softly. The question that concerns many of us is, what will humanity do with this power now that it has revealed itself? Archer surveyed the gathered representatives calmly. We will defend our sovereignty. We will reclaim our history. And we will engage with the galaxy as equals, not as subjects, not as threats, but as partners for those who wish to partner with us. And those who do not? Asked a Vogar representative. We have no interest in conquest, Archer assured them. Earth has had enough of hiding. We seek recognition, not domination. The diplomatic discussions continued for days as humanity formally rejoined galactic society. Trade agreements were proposed, cultural exchanges planned, and security arrangements cautiously negotiated. Throughout it all, the Gravemind fleet remained visible, a constant reminder of humanity's hidden strength and patient resolve. In the aftermath of the revelation, Earth itself underwent transformation. Cities that had maintained a deliberately primitive appearance now revealed their true technological sophistication. Transportation systems that had been restricted to surface-level operation now extended into orbit. Educational institutions that had taught carefully censored histories now openly shared the full record of human achievement. 3 months after the confrontation, General Archer stood with Errol on the observation deck of New Geneva's Central Tower. Below them, the city glittered with lights that no longer needed to be dimmed to avoid detection from space. The transition has gone more smoothly than I expected, Archer admitted. I thought there might be more resistance to ending 8 centuries of secrecy. Errol's translucent form shifted slightly. Humans adapt quickly. It's one of your most remarkable traits. And one the Eldari failed to appreciate. They failed to appreciate many things about humanity, Errol said. Your capacity for patience. Your ability to preserve knowledge through generations. Your willingness to sacrifice immediate gratification for long-term security. Archer nodded thoughtfully. What news from the Zenodal Council? They've officially recognized the autonomous status of those of us who chose Earth, Errol replied. We're considered a separate faction now, neither bound by their directives nor protected by their neutrality. Are you satisfied with that arrangement? Errol's features rippled in what Archer had come to recognize as a smile. More than satisfied. For 300 years I've lived as Jacob Croft, friend to humanity. Now, I can simply be Errol, citizen of Earth. And the others like you? Most feel the same. We chose sides long ago. General, recent events have merely formalized that choice. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Colonel Trent, who approached with a datapad in hand. Sir, the final reports from Neptune. The Gravemind fleet is fully operational and deployed throughout the system as planned. Archer took the pad, reviewing the information briefly. And the Eldari border? Quiet, sir. No unusual activity. It seems they've accepted the new reality. For now, Archer cautioned. We've surprised them once. They won't underestimate us again. Let them come if they dare, Trent said with quiet confidence. We're ready. Archer handed the pad back. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Colonel, we've won our freedom and our recognition. I'd prefer not to test our military capabilities further, unless absolutely necessary. After Trent departed, Archer turned back to the view of the city. 800 years of preparation, Errol. 800 years of waiting for the right moment. Was it worth it? The Zenodal considered the question carefully. Ask the children playing freely in the Citadel Park. Ask the scholars now teaching uncensored history in our universities. Ask the engineers building ships that no longer need to be hidden beneath ice. Archer nodded slowly. Freedom to be who we are, without pretense or constraint. Yes, I suppose that is worth 8 centuries of patience. As night fell over New Geneva, lights blazed across the city, bright, unashamed, visible to any watching eyes in the heavens above. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, and the galaxy would never be the same. On a hillside overlooking the city, two children, a human girl and a half-xenodal boy, sat watching the lights with wonder in their eyes. "Is it true that we used to have to hide everything?" the girl asked. The boy nodded, his skin faintly translucent in the moonlight. "My father says we had to pretend to be less than we were. We couldn't let the stars see our true selves." "But now we can be anything we want?" "Now," the boy said, "we can be exactly who we are." Below them, New Geneva shone like a constellation brought to Earth, no longer hiding its light, but proudly proclaiming its existence to the watching universe. Across the solar system, from the scorching mines of Mercury to the icy outposts of the Kuiper Belt, humanity embraced its newfound openness. The weight of centuries of secrecy lifted, replaced by a collective sense of purpose and pride. And in the darkness beyond Neptune, the Gravemind fleet maintained its vigilant watch, a silent reminder to the galaxy that humanity had never truly disappeared. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to reveal who they really were. Thousands of light-years away, in the central chambers of the Elodari Alliance, Chancellor Varel formally submitted his resignation. The humiliation of their defeat at human hands had shattered the Council's authority, and restructuring had already begun. "We believed ourselves to be shepherds of lesser species," Varel said in his final address. "We thought our technological superiority gave us the right to determine the fate of others. The humans have taught us otherwise, a lesson 800 years in the making." As the former chancellor departed the chamber, whispers followed in his wake. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted. The myth of Elodari infallibility had been shattered, and a species once thought subdued had emerged as perhaps the most formidable military power in known space. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would write its own history from now on, not as a footnote in someone else's narrative, but as authors of their own destiny, patient, resilient, and finally free. In New Geneva's Strategic Command, General Adrian Archer sat alone, reviewing reports from across the system. The celebration had faded, replaced by the sobering reality of maintaining the security they had fought so hard to achieve. A small hologram appeared on his desk, an old recording of Professor Daniel Croft, the historian who had first revealed the truth of the historical erasure to him decades ago. "Remember, Adrian," the recording said, "our strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our memory. As long as we remember who we truly are, they can never truly defeat us." Archer nodded to himself, then shut off the recording. The human spirit had endured 8 centuries of enforced silence. It would not be silenced again. Outside his window, Earth turned serenely, unaware of how close it had come to permanent subjugation. The planet that had nearly been erased from history had instead made history, reminding the galaxy that some lights could not be extinguished, no matter how long they were forced to burn in secret. Humanity had declared itself to the stars once more, and this time they would not be forgotten.